we're going to the female slave dungeon in Elmina Castle. It's part of the dungeon that's closed at the moment, where our own people were taken like animals.
This system was built by the culture. This was where they stored rainwater for cooking, bathing, drinking, washing, and any other domestic activities. But you see, this same reservoir was never used by the Dutch when they came, because they thought the Portuguese might have poisoned it. But no, research has proved that the reservoir was never poisoned. They went to the main courtyard, built one there, and that one is 3 times bigger than this one. See, all the ground floors, all of them, were also converted into dungeons. Talking about the female slave dungeons. This was a section where the women were kept. And the women were always separated from the men to prevent probation. I mean, the female captives were separated from the male captives. Look at this. The entrances that are not having anything were then gated. They had iron gates. And the other ones having bars, they also then closed metal bars, built vertically.
So no one can escape.
Maybe if you get a chance to come here, there's no way you can cross that one and also run away or cross the drawbridge, But still, they made sure that no one would easily even come here. But sometimes the captives were made to come here. Let me tell you something. This stretch of coast was called Gold Coast. We all know why, because they got a lot of gold from this part. The same way, or the same stretch of coast that they called it Gold Coast was later termed White Man's Grave, because of the rate at which they were dying of tropical diseases. The Europeans did not take care of their wives. They later realized that being posted to Africa was a dead warrant. So yes, the wives were never brought. And for that matter, some of the female captives were raped. I believe you know that rape was part of slavery. So, talking about the women, yes, it was part. They were being raped. Some were raped openly in the dungeons. Now, it is said that whenever the governor wanted to satisfy his lust, the governor came and stood at every balcony. Some of the women were made to come out from their dungeons.
And he makes his choice.
So that was where the governor actually made his choice. So
their generation should pay for this.
Whenever the governor wanted to do, and that was the only time they would come here. After the governor had made his choice, they were pushed in. Just after making his choice, the soldiers took it for him, for the selected captive to bath, because it could happen that she was in her menses, and possibly she might have been in danger for some days or weeks without washing down. After being washed, she was taken from here to go to a governor's quarters.
That's upstairs, isn't it?
Yes, she was taken from here to go to the governor's quarters. That is the third and this is the final floor. You know, after the rape, they brought her back to join her friends. Some of the women became pregnant. So when the ships came, those who were found pregnant were sent to the town for them to stay there to deliver. Now, when the children grew up, they brought them here for schooling. Education in then Gold Coast and now Ghana started in castles. That's the castle schools. legally, some of the Dutch officials who did not want to rape the woman, it is said that they went to the town, got married to some of the local people, raised children with them. They built houses in the town where they stayed with their wives. For sure, this did not only happen in Elmina, but talking about coastal communities where the Europeans settled. I simply want to say they intermarried with the indigenous, and this explains why we still have commonly along the coast, talking about the European needs, and also the light color skin. Yes.
Osu, you go to Osu, Takrady, and all those things.
The coastal communities and the coastal and their connection or contact with the Europeans. Talking about Van der Poel, names such as Van der Poel,
and all
Van Dyke, Vieira, Vroom, Brown, De Geer, Bookham, Batters, Johnson, Davison, Sanson, Ferguson, Thompson, Texan, Branson, Jackson. Yes. But one thing, talking about those who were raped in the castle, I'm talking about the female captives. Some of them did not allow themselves to be raped, and they were punished to serve as a lesson to the others who were in the dungeons. And sure, we need to know how or the kind of punishment they were given. Let's go up, please. Yes, you can see one cannonball here. You see, 8 of such were here at that time. In the Europeans, they had chains and also padlocks fitted on them. The female captives who did not allow themselves to be raped were brought here. They tied those chains to their ankles and they left them here. That was a kind of punishment that the difficult female captives were given. Now look at something. While they were here, they were not given food, and also water. Also when they're raining or shining like this, for several hours before they were freed to go inside. That was a punishment for the difficult female captives. Some of the male captives were killed. How were they killed? They were starved. They were simply recaptured from their dungeons and put in another cell. They were left to die without food and water because they
resisted.
That is it. They proved difficult. To them, they tried to escape. You see, they fought for their freedom. They were freedom fighters. They were killed to serve as a deterrent to others who were in the dungeons. You will go there, but before you go there, let's please walk through the dungeon.
You watched the documentary already, but now you can ask the questions.
That has the issue of the transatlantic shift and trans-Saharan shift and the kind of human trade that you were having before the arrival of the Europeans. You see, this happens to be the largest dungeon in the Tibet system, and 100 to 150 women were here at the time. Like I said, the whole dungeon is about 400 women. They were made to sleep on the floor. This is the original floor. Also, they put empty containers at the corners for them to case. Yes, in the dungeon, the captives were fed. Just as something enough to sustain them from dying. They were brought from different tribes, so communication was a problem. And imagine, as women, they also had their nurses. Because they sometimes have to stay here for 2 weeks, 1 month, sometimes 2 months. So the time is 6 days. I told you that such entrances had gates, and the other ones had bars. You see, because of poor ventilation, sanitation, and also feeding, some of the captives fell sick and died. They picked the bodies and the ocean. Another school of thought says they simply took the bodies and tied stones to the priests, and again dumped in the ocean so that they can sing. Please, any questions? You will see more of these. I mean, the rape at some point.
The rapes, what's the
I'll tell
purpose?
you, for sure, they were brought by tourists to pay homage to our ancestors. In the castle, you are allowed, it is permitted, to leave or pour libation. Based on your reason or your please follow.
So what compensation has these barbaric people giving to Africans for this cruel, inhuman treatment? Nothing. So when is Africa going to raise that issue? When is Africa going to raise that issue? Because they celebrate the Jewish people for Holocaust.
Yes.
But why not African slavery?
I think people like you and others, including me, we need to come together and so
we have to tap the word.
Through.
If they recognize the Jewish people for Holocaust,
yes.
This is worse than that.
It is true. You see, the female captives were forced through this exit to go to the room of no return. That is when the ships had come. These iron bars were then not here. So down there were stairs. This drainage or this gutter was not here. It was rather a staircase that they used to go there. So as the women were going from here, their male counterparts were made to use different routes.
And they meet in the ship.
First there to the room of no return, and yes, on the ship. And the transportation continued. And we are going there, please.
Hey. Come here. Come on.
Look at the guy.
You can't even see people. Can you imagine?
So just follow.
Obroni tiri mu yɛ deɛ. Obroni tiri mu yɛ den. So that's the last spot. Just water. So these are rigs that have been brought. Many of them never reach their destination.
Okay, so room of no return. See, we came free, but the captives, I mean our ancestors, were chained before they brought them here. And the men came from where we just came from, and the women came from out there or to this spot. You see, they all went through this gate. This is the gate of no return. And at that time, the ocean was closer to the castle, just that now it has receded. We believe that because of human activities that normally go on here. But geologists attribute it to the movement of the earth. Now, though the ocean was closer to the castle, so close to the castle was not deep enough for the ships. So they bent the ships far away from here. And they brought small boats down there to catch the slaves from here to the ships, and the journey continued. They sent some of the captives to Brazil, North Suriname, Haiti, Java, Guyana, Bahamas, Sumatra, Jamaica, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Colombia, Liverpool, Manchester, and some other places. They cried a lot here. You see, at this point, they realized that coming back was far from imagination. Just after this gate, the captives, meaning our ancestors, I mean our ancestors, please, lost their tribes, they lost their identities,
Their language,
their food,
the
names, the culture, everything. Room of no return. You agree with me, it is no more room of no return. Yes, we must return. I told you that the rain, here you can see schnapps, water, some other drinks. They were brought by tourists to pay homage to our ancestors. They are here for remembrance.
Jamaicans developed what's the food called? Instead of kinky, dumpling.
We are returning.
Because they can't get kinky, they design dumpling. Sad. Sad. They use religion. Build a church, yet they were slaves. And they haven't paid Africa for those wicked treatment till today. When I shall not be woman.
So now I may say this still
Yeah, don't get come. I take a last week. Opa four. Get last week. Opa four.
Remember one of the Dutch governors. And that governor was called Tets. L.J. Van Tets. You see, Governor Tets was the last Director General of West Indies Company. That company came from Zealand in Netherlands. He arrived here on 16th January 1758 and died 12 March the same year at the age of 41. This was where the governor was buried. And at that time, there was a pastor who was then residing here called A. Andres. He wrote this portion to serve as a tribute about Governor Tet. And he said Governor Tet was a good man, honest, hard-working, and also God-fearing. That was what he said about Governor Tet. Yes, the man was very good. Okay, you see this.
Are there family relation of that man still in Netherlands for us to go and trace them?
Possibly.
And come and pay for what their great-grandfathers did.
Okay.
We should trace all of them. Everybody that owes a slave, we should go and trace their family and come and pay Africa dear. Take their children's slavery in Africa, come and sweep the streets of Africa and see how it is like. Foolishness. should go and get their families if we have their records.
So I say it's Christmas.
Hey, now your business onion.
No, for us to feel it. You know, this cell was for the European soldiers who got themselves drunk and also those who went to the town without seeking permission from authorities. So this was just a punishment for their own soldiers. And they provided windows for air and light. So no one died here. The idea was not to kill anybody here, just to discourage such characters. And this, look at
So they were classified human beings enough to be given windows and ventilation. Why obituary danger sign?
I will recommend some good books.
Me? That's not count.
They told them for 1 hour. And let's see.
No, that's it's good.
I will come from.
The only ventilation is over.
You know, this was the condemned cell. Condemned cell for the Africans, for the male captives who instigated others to revolt. They instigated others to revolt to get their freedom, or gain their freedom free. Those who rebelled, yes, those who led any riot. I'm talking about the leaders of the freedom fighters. They were killed here. You see, they were recaptured. I mean, the leaders were recaptured from their dungeons and they put them here. They were not given food, so they were not given water until they died. That's what the
So we stand here, we don't know the number of people who have died
and a
over
lot
here.
of people might have died. And I wish these tools can talk. They can give us the correct number of people. That is it.
Forensic, we have to do.
For sure, transatlantic slave trade lasted for 362
Almost 400 years.
400 years.
Yes.
So imagine the number of people that died here.
We don't need the cow.
Make sure you read a history of indigenous slavery in Ghana.
Unlawful the cow. Whether American
Maybe you can't even demand so many times. I went. You didn't saw any Muslims anyway. Huh? What that to do? Why did you take it?
This here